One woman in particular was arguably the most progressive yet controversial figure to come out of this era, and remains to this day arguably, again, the single most controversial figure in American history. In the late 1800s, Margaret Sanger worked as a nurse who frequently made house calls to the immigrant poor in urban New York. She documented an overwhelming number of these cases she saw concerned women who were struggling with health issues related to pregnancy, suffering the effects of repeated numerous pregnancies. Sanger's own mother had 18 pregnancies and died as a result in her mid-40s. Suffering from attempts to self-abort, abortions weren't practiced by most doctors and weren't even legal, or from dealing with many cases of sexual violence when husbands or even fathers would want intercourse with their wives, or sadly all too often, their daughters, neither of whom may have wanted to provide. Sanger studied up on and became America's first advocate for birth control and sexual health education, especially for women. Getting much of her information from Europe, where more liberal laws and attitudes allowed for greater research at the time, Sanger repeatedly tried to set up clinics in New York to teach women how to monitor and take care of their own sexual health, as well as how to use birth control in order to prevent getting pregnant. Repeatedly, her clinics were closed, and she often did jail time for activities, yet even facing up to 15 years in jail and over $10,000 in fine for distributing obscene material concerning menstruation and pregnancy through the mail, were not enough to deter her. Her early clinics became what we know today as Planned Parenthood. Sanger championed the legalization of abortion as a woman's ultimate form of control over her body, and was one of the chief advocates responsible for bringing the birth control pill to America in 1960. Blasted by her critics as everything from a pornographer, a vile destroyer of the American family and its values, and even as a eugenicist, one who seeks to purify the human race through controlling its ability to breed, Sanger has become either the greatest American hero or the most vile American villain, depending on where you sit on this issue. Women also championed social progressivism in the form of settlement houses. Sensitive to the needs and hardships immigrants faced in this country, progressive women like Florence Kelley in Philadelphia and Jane Addams in Chicago set up the settlement houses that offered day care for immigrant children while parents were at work. In the evenings and on weekends, settlement houses offered free courses which taught immigrants everything from English, hygiene, and childcare. They also became places where immigrants could learn how America worked and how to be more American. Settlement homes helped immigrants make a smoother transition into becoming Americans, something that political machines never made an attempt at. Women's empowerment, whether through their control over American values and morals, through politics, or even through reproduction, was seen as a vital link in progressing America. More and more people were agreeing that by 1900, in order for America to move forward, everyone needed to be able to participate in that move. Conclusion. The work that the progressives began over a century ago left vital aftershocks throughout America's subsequent years. The idea that America can perpetually become a better and better place to live through the efforts of its citizens has been one of the cornerstones of our society since the days of La Follette, Anthony, and Hine. It has also created a lot of controversy. What might be seen as progress for some could arguably not be progress for others. Can America move forward in a manner in which truly everyone is feeling like the nation has gotten better? It further left us with the legacy of muckrakers. Muckrakers were and are people who very publicly and openly fight for their progressive cause. These people raked the muck of society, its worst, most disgusting flaws out into the open for all to see. Lewis Hine raked up the truth about child labor. Carrie Nation raked up the problems widespread alcohol abuse caused by barging into saloons uninvited. Alice Paul raked up muck about oppressing women and denying them the vote when she went on hunger strikes for the cause of suffrage. Margaret Sanger raked up the horrors caused by denying women a lack of education concerning the behavior of their own body in her clinics and her pamphlets. Robert La Follette raked up and threw out the muck of corporate corruption. Muckrakers were and are public people who relied and rely upon the media to bring their message to the public in hopes of continuing the legacy of progress in America. They are controversial and not always warmly received. Just look at Michael Moore. But they are still with us. carrying on the work of their forebears. Al Gore fights for the environment. The Daily Show and the Colbert Report use humor to openly mock political corruption and hypocrisy. Before he challenged the presidential election of 2000, Ralph Nader was challenging corporate greed and corruption within the automotive industry. All of these people live as current symbols of the movement that began well over 100 years ago to make America progress.